my firearms collection out of storage and some electronic stuff, and then basically I got so fed up I just sold everything.
Yeah.
I decided to go back to Europe. But then things changed, and as they do in life, and
ended up back here.
ended up back here, not immigrate. I was actually going to immigrate over to Germany and live in a village called Belzig by invitation. Excuse me. So other things kind of intervened. It was my Japanese friends that intervened, and Yin changing her mind, and we got back together again, and we started traveling through the United States, and I gave lectures down in Denver, Colorado, and things started just rolling along and rolling along.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I thought, well, I was collecting stuff again. I got re-sparked to be enthusiastic, but I was collecting more for the interest of the machines. Then it was around 1999 that I thought, can I really do it again? The levitation work, and I did it for Fox TV.
Oh, okay.
It was Ghost Best Evidence Caught on Tape, where they filmed here. I had a toy plastic UFO flying in around up in the air.
Huh.
And that aired April 29th, I believe, because the New West Police were, after that film there, they got kind of involved in everything too.
Oh, was this the one where the TV flew off the shelf of the neighbor's house?
No, one of those stories.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah. So anyhow, that... Oh, somebody dropped their watch.
You okay back there, Harold?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, just want to make sure.
Yeah, all right.
When
So-
you did earlier experiments on this stuff, John, did you ever run a spectrum analyzer in the background to look at what kind of emissions you're doing, or
Well, I
is there
used...
ever any recording in terms of spectrum analyzer measurements?
Yes, actually later on, when I could get the equipment, which I had, I was doing that. And then George Hathaway had his equipment, which he then measured all the different frequencies.
So George has some spectrum analyzer data on that.
Yeah, and actually I got a copy of that right here, actually, some of this material.
Oh yeah, I'd like to see that sometime.
On the big lab. It's just around the corner. Pace puts out a little book called The Hutchison Effect. So they give some of the diagrams of the
Really?
big lab.
Oh, that's
Oh,
Andrew
I
McCroskey.
would like to see
Andrew
that. I had
McCroskey,
no
right?
idea
Space
that was.
Hat?
Yeah, Andrew McCroskey. Dr. Andrew McCroskey.
I didn't realize that had been published.
Yeah, that was published some time ago. There's a lot of stuff published. It's just a matter of where it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not organized. It's not cohesive, and so people see a little bit here or there. They see little bits and pieces, and they're not sure what it means. But
It's kind of like me when I was in Austria. I was finding bits and pieces in German publications, and I would go down get it photocopied, slowly put together bits and pieces on it.
yeah,
I'm still finding out stuff to this day. Especially after meeting Nick Cook, I found out all kinds of stuff that I didn't know about. But
Yeah, Nick is an interesting fellow.
he was here, and that's quite a while ago now. And then he went off to do that special TLC show. Then up came Boyd Bushman.
I didn't realize Boyd came up to visit.
No. I'm just
Oh,
saying.
I'm sorry. Oh, you mean just in terms of
here
his
it is now.
topics?
So you do have an older spectrum
And
analyzer.
then
So what kinds of stuff are you finding here, Gary? What are you taking notes on?
my real interest has been with the transmitters, because you've got quite a collection of transmitters. And of course, for the material effects, it'd be very interesting to know what the frequencies are. So I'm trying to get a feel for what kind of transmitters you have, and what frequencies you're capable of, to try to get a feel for, well, there may be resonances within the materials that you might be hitting. And I was interested by your comment on the frequency shifting. Perhaps the frequency needs to shift a little bit in order to find these notches, these absorption bands in the material. If you're not shifting the frequency, you might never hit these notches. So the fact you're shifting the frequencies, that was an interesting detail to me.
Well,
yeah, I had to lock them up, keep locking them up, because heat, humidity, and that would cause things to shift, and always adjusting them. There's One of the RF operators, I think, is just above your head over there.
Oh, these control panels?
No. Just this great, big, gigantic space gun thing. You should observe that. It's kind of intriguing. Falls into your area a little bit there, just above your head now.
Oh, you mean the megawatt laser?
Yeah. This thing.
Well, Gary, could you elaborate on that a little bit? The charge carriers and the...
Yeah, he's using a nuclear unit, a nuclear emission unit here, and that's one of the things he's using as an ion source for charge carriers for electrostatic field. So instead of electrostatic field normally is just simply displaced charges, here he's creating a space charge with electrons and with alpha particles, which are helium nuclei. And so I'm curious to see what's forming the plasma here. It looks like it's not just a displaced charge effect, but also a plasma effect.
Now, is that the Hutchison effect in general?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They're not reading your warning signs.
I guess not, no. Good for you.
Okay, this
That's because all the guns are pointing the other way in there, right? They're all...
Okay, I'd like to write down this ISBN on this reference number. If it has an ISBN, I can usually get it.
You want to read it off, Gary?
ISBN is 0-919969-34-8, 1996.
Okay, and I'll...
That long ago now. Oh.
Yeah, time flies. Almost 9 years old. It is 9 years old.
Yeah.
That's the ISBN number.
Unbelievable.
And that is Planetary Association for Clean Energy, the Hutchison file. And then there's your ISBN.
Andrew doesn't seem to make his pace that known out there. He's even finding his website's very hard to try and find that.
Yeah, it has been kind of difficult to learn a little bit more about it. Well, what do you think, Gary? Having seen the lab, what are some of your thoughts from a scientist's perspective?
It's tough to collect all my thoughts right now because there's such a huge array of different transmitters and mixers and antenna controllers that I need to process it a lot more before I can ask any more intelligent questions about everything you've got going here. But it was an absolutely fascinating visit from my point of view.
Okay.
Really neat setup, and I really enjoyed also hearing about your Tesla coils and your electrostatic sources, your Van de Graaff, and how you're using those together. To me, was interesting. It sounds like you might be manipulating plasma a little bit, which plasma physics is, a growing area that's very interesting from the point of view of what kind of effects it can create. So it was neat to hear the tie-in with the charge sources and your ion sources here as well.
Okay. Some of the older info in there would really be interesting to you too, because it uses actual low inductance type capacitors, which were used in plasma experiments.
Oh, really? So that's where you got them? Okay.
From University of British Columbia, surplus.
Huh. Thank
And
you.
those things actually were like, I'd have to say each one of those capacitors is roughly over 100 pounds each.
Pretty large. Are those air caps? Oil caps?
No, they're these guys here. They're I had them arranged in a way that I guess like that. There's a diagram. These are the big caps, and then it explode here through a huge, gigantic gap, like a big explosion. Then through that explosion here, I'd sometimes get fireballs, which I'd guide down this tube.
Oh, I see.
So this was charged electrostatically. This is another experiment. These were small corona rings on plastic pipe, suspended, and when this discharged, I might put a piece of metal bolted on there, let's say. It vaporizes, turns into a little bright fireball, and I'll shoot it off through that system there.
So it's almost a gun of sorts.
Yeah.
For fireballs.
This total weight of this whole unit would have been maybe 3 tons.
How long do you think it would take for a charge-discharge cycle on this?
60 seconds.
60 seconds?
Going full bore, yeah.
So how far would this fireball shoot, though? This is a plasma ball, right?
Yeah, a little ball like that. It'd go maybe up to 12 feet
12 feet? It's not too bad.
until it just disappeared.
Oh, I see.
I think it just ran out of fuel or just disappeared.
Just ran out of juice, probably, yeah.
Sometimes you get the bigger ones which were sort of semi-transparent and then they just hit something and go in a different strange directions. But it's getting into like some of the transformer sizes like this one here, I'd charge up for an experiment. Would be almost 2,000 pound transformers at anywhere from 200,000 to 400,000 volts. And I'd be running a single lead up to this huge gigantic donut, which would charge up on DC, just to try an experiment and see what would happen.
Okay.
And then down here, I'd have an interferometer. I'd use like rare gases in there, noble gases. This thing would start to oscillate and trigger a whole battery of other equipment in a way that effect would happen. This is in the late 80s where things were getting more advanced and I was understanding a lot more. And getting into like metal shapes for reflection of statics, RF and that, I'd make these kind of tunable and have pulsating magnetics, variation in electrostatics. On this system here, it's known as a spiral spark gap. The spark starts here and it goes right up to here and starts over again.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This is the alpha beta flux in here, 200 millicuries. And this had a shaved down area, milled down area where it's very thin so that this could be rotated so the alpha beta flux could be moved around in any direction, at least this way, like traverse. And this is under high tension load, this whole system of tubes and that. So, and this here, of course, is the famous pulsed magnetron, which was pulsed through the proper transformers, but also as a rotary gap run by a motor.
Oh, okay.
So I could adjust the speed or slow it down.
So that created a pulse field.
Yeah. Then I got into getting more exotic here with these huge gigantic double loop antennas, where I have wires running through here but under load.
Oh, sure, sure.
To set up a very weak magnetic field to steer and move the electrostatics around. I think we're getting into Europe here. Oh, here we go. Here's the static generators. This is half a mil volts Van de Graaff generator, and this is one of the ones I built myself. It was like several million volts. That was quite a fun thing. It was on casters, as you can see. And during the summer when it was hot, Tim, we turned this thing on to cool ourselves off through the ionic wind.
Oh, I see, because it produced so much wind it would, yeah, get rid of the boundary layer. Okay.
It just totally, even a lighter wouldn't work in this thing. And we use this one to even guide the stream towards us.
I wouldn't want to be in the neighborhood when you're running that thing.